do it. So I want to thank you, first of all, for accepting my invitation to organize these expert talks, as we're calling them in the Creative Group. I'm glad because we have Shelly with us, and as you can see, she's going to talk about meaningful learning with digital badges and missions. And I had her presentation some hours ago, and I really have it there, and I think there are many interesting resources and many interesting ideas. I leave the floor to Shelly. Thank you once again for organizing that for us, and we are all ears to hear you.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. It's exciting to be here. And I'm really in sharing with you something that I hope will help you with motivation. Now, many of you talk about having learners from 11 to young learners. Basically, you have anywhere from 4 years old, 3. We have some as young as 3, all the way to 18 years old. And learn from experience, and I've taught already. I've been to 26 countries physically to train teachers and students to also teach some teacher classes as well. And I've worked with learners as young as 2 years old all the way to 80 years old. And I taught in Athens. So I have taught in Greece. I absolutely loved Greece when I was there. And also I taught in Germany for 4 years. And now I'm back in the U.S. Where I began teaching in 1994. And for me, once you can get students motivated, then you can really get them to achieve great things, especially when you're teaching English. And that's one of the things that's really difficult to do when you're teaching English, because when students are young, they don't understand why it's so important to learn a different language. Oftentimes, students in general may come to school and they're already demotivated, and that's not your fault. That's actually because there's a lot of curriculum and textbooks and different types of rules that make it to where students don't like school. So they end up learning math, science, history, learning English, and all the things that we're trying to teach them, which is very exciting. I love to learn. I try to learn every single day. I'm always gaining new insights from teachers. And I'm very fortunate because I connect with teachers all over the world on Twitter, on Facebook, and that's part of my job as well, is starting teachers training online and face-to-face. And so I love it because I learn ideas from teachers all the time. And the great thing about it is then I get to go into my classroom and I get to try this out. So it's really, really just a great opportunity to be able to connect with educators. I'm going ahead and put my Twitter so that way, if you are on Twitter, you'll be able to follow me there. So we help students to be motivated. How do we get it to where students decide that they're not going to hate any of our subjects? And the difficult part is as soon as they walk in the class, the way many of them are. So you don't even have a chance to really introduce yourself or even get them excited. They're all meeting you like this. It isn't because they're lazy. They'll work hard and they will do homework and stuff at home. I really do believe that if you're teaching a language, you have to practice outside the class. Because you don't, then it's going to be very difficult to learn that language. And also, if our students are being recorded for different tests, if they have an oral exam, if they have all of these different exams, then you're going to see that unless, especially pronunciation, especially with writing, they really do need to be able to practice at home. Microphone on. If everyone could turn off the microphone, that would be awesome. And so often when I first started teaching, I developed some bad habits. And there's actually research that says when you're teaching, you end up taking the instructional style of your previous teachers. And for many of us, we were taught in a traditional way. But now we grew up with many different changes in technology. I remember 1996 when I was first able to get on a computer and use the internet. And for me, that was so exciting. But learning and communication and the way we research, and even the way that we communicate, and language itself, especially the English language, has been impacted with all of the technologies. And you've had to adapt, from, especially teachers. You've had to go from things like interactive whiteboards to mobile devices, the internet, from even having a computer in the classroom. So all of these are really big changes. I remember when I was teaching when digital cameras first came out, and I was very, very excited, but back then there was so much you could do, and it was really exciting. And now you have the cell phones that I often teach with for the students, and we can make movies and do even more, and it's just quite amazing, I think, how technology has changed things. When I started teaching, I did things like this. When we would have a textbook, I would often glue the book, and I would just say, okay, we're going to do exercises on the book. And, you know, not to say that we didn't have games or anything, because I very much believe in games. But I have to make the leap. I have to adjust, because my students, definitely with math, science, and language, and many different places, many different topics, you learn it in a book. In fact, that is the least thing that we should teach from, because you actually learn all of these important content and subject matter all around you, and that needs to be our goal, is that our students to take that knowledge and to practice it outside the book. But the book can be our guideline. It can tell us what we need to cover. It can give us hints of learners. It can give us ideas. It can be our sort of foundation, but your students should be spending the least amount of time there. So how do we get them to do that? Well, you can take everything that you have now. You don't have to completely change your curriculum. What I started doing is now I send them on learning missions. So I actually no longer use the word homework. I say, okay, you have a mission, and here's your mission. I'm going to show you how to write these missions. Automatically, because I use the word mission versus homework, my students get intrigued, they get curious, and already set to action in the chat box. But when you hear the word mission, what comes to mind? Who accomplishes mission? Who accomplishes missions in our society? What are the professions? Or where have you heard the word mission before? And you can type that in the chat box, so that way I can see your ideas. But when we say homework, or we say, "Ooh, here's your task," or "Here's your assignment," is our students actually get demotivated. They actually say, "Oh no, we have homework." But say mission, that's related to a lot of really action-oriented, helping people. Exactly. So, for example, in religious areas, what 1877, exactly. Aliens do it. Superheroes are sent on missions. Soldiers. So there are many different types of, and also for, yeah, to do that to Inspector Gadget. Exactly. You can have missions as well when you're in games. When you're games, they often are sending them on missions. So students are already, with the word mission, taught that this is important. It has meaning, it's full, and they're also taught that they're also taught that once they complete the mission, then they achieve something great. So they're already excited about it. So something a mission looks like. So before we were talking about fractions, and I use math sometimes, but it's easy to do English ones. In fact, I find it much easier to do English ones. So I took that particular assignment. So you can think of an actual assignment, something very simple that you usually do in the textbook, or something that you want to change to get to use their English more. And so I changed the one of fractions, and I said instead, your mission is to bring in a family recipe, adjust the recipe to serve 10 people. Now, when they adjust the recipe, they have to make conversions with fractions. So actually, they're using fractions and they're converting them. And adjusted recipe and a document that shows their work. Okay, so already they're putting it to a real task. They're using fractions, and they're seeing automatically, hey, I'm using fractions to convert homework. And the purpose of the mission. So it's not enough to just take the homework, okay, and to make the mission practical, but also it needs to have a purpose. It does need to get our students to accomplish something. So when you think about whatever that assignment is into a mission, think first the ages of your students. I want to appeal to them, because the mission has to be in their wording that they'll understand. It should be something that's appealing to them. It has to be something that would relate to them. Exactly, and you can have them work in groups, you can have them work in pairs, because what we're really doing is homework, and we're giving them an assignment or a task. If we're calling it a mission, and we're making it sound like a mission. So we're turning the learning into something that's meaningful and has purpose. Every good mission has a situation or backstory. So often I'll get my students, a lot of times I'll come up to students and I'll say, okay, here's the situation. Our XYZ company has come to us, and they are looking for the next blockbuster movie. It is your mission to work with a partner and to create a movie trailer on any book that you love. This, you're going to show the XYZ company, and they're going to decide whether that gets to be the next summer production. I'll say things like that. Oh, there's an advertising agency, and they have decided they're making a new app. And so this is how I present it. I give them a good story to go along with it. So you can do that too. Or you can just give them the purpose for having the mission. It could be something that's pretend. I use a lot of stories, or it could be something real. So here we talk about the situation. Here is something more practical. So in this situation, for the other mission that they were just given, we're creating as a class, we're creating a digital cookbook, a class digital cookbook of all their family recipes. And we need each one to share a recipe. Of course, it doesn't have to be a family secret recipe. It could be just any kind of recipe. And we will sell the cookbook to raise funds for new laptops for the school computer lab, or to get pads in the classroom, to get digital cameras. So you can actually give them a real thing that they will accomplish with the mission. So already they're learning math, and if they do this, at the end of it, they'll have helped themselves get something really great out of it. So you could put it to that. You don't have to. That takes a little bit more difficulty, and it does take some planning. So often what I do is I use a backstory. I'll use something like there's a company or something, and they need our help. We're giving them the mission, and all of this you can put in different places. I'll show you different places where you can put these different words and how it comes together. Yes, it should have a concrete purpose. Now, it can be a pretend purpose. So, for example, one of the things I get my students to do, all ages, even teenagers and young learners, probably around 8 years old on I've had them they create an app that would help them for, well, yes, I think for personal culture as well. They can do it for their culture because that actually, the more it relates to them, the better. So usually what I have them do is brainstorm problems they face or problems they see at school and that their peers face as well. And I have them take one of those problems and develop an app from it. They have to, and then they do the drawing of the app, and then they have to do a presentation, and they have to talk about their app and everything that it does, and make little videos. And it's been very successful. Students love doing this. But I come in with a situation, and the situation is there's the XYZ company, they're coming up with the newest app to help, let's say, teenagers. And they really want to make sure that teenagers download this app. So you have to come up with an app that peer age, they've asked us to come up with an app so that way they can use this as their new app. Kind of situations that I just put a backstory. With this, you can include the resources as well, tools, apps, workbank, or resources. What does this look like? Well, for this particular task, and you could use any app. They could have used Storyboard. They could have used, there's so many book creation apps online as well. And for this particular one, I said, okay, we're going to use the Book Creator app. So that's where we're going to publish this. Mission Help. Mission Help is the resources. You can even put a word bank there. Just types of words they should include in the recipe, or maybe vocabulary that will be very beneficial and helpful. You can even get that from your book because your book usually comes with the grammar or the vocabulary they should focus on. So all of this on the Mission Help. And if you think of when I thought about this, a lot of this is based on watching Mission Impossible from with Tom Cruise, and they give him this mission. You'll notice that they give it to him, and then it just disappears. But you notice whenever you see a spy movie or anything like that, they always have a folder of information. They will have background information on the target or what the mission is going to entail. So you can put all that in the Mission Help as well. So what are they going to need? Well, I give them a link for Action Help. I give them a link so they can see different recipes, so they know how to write a recipe. And I could give them more and more and more places. I could even put in here the places in the textbook that this relates to, where they can gain the information. Options. How are you going to grade this? Well, I use a lot of rubrics to grade. I think rubrics are very easy to use when doing task-based or project-based. So I tend to use a lot of rubrics, and Cash Rock has a whole bunch of them. So if you are looking for, there's a lot of teachers who actually have created rubrics. Now you can just adapt yours to those. And that's what I tend to do. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a link for that in the chat box. Scroll down, and you can see thousands of examples of rubrics, and you can go and you can use them. And so you can also add points or badge, and that can make it pretty meaningful. And I found that a lot of students or the teachers I train, even, I've used badges for students. I've seen it used for students as young as 4 years old, all the way to adults. And I use this for my conferences as well. I create these digital badges. So this is what a digital badge looks like. And you'll see right here, actually, I think I have this little marker thing. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can tag that for you. Here, you see, maybe you can see my pin there. And that's what a digital badge looks like. And it's really, really cool to be able to have these. Your students will actually love them. I have seen students work so hard because they absolutely love these badges. Now, the site that I really love for these badges, and if you go to the Pearl Trees, you'll see the links to these. But I really love Credly, and I'm going to go ahead and share with you my particular Credly, but let's see, I'm going to go ahead and the Pearl Trees link for you. And you can go ahead and you can access this. And the reason why I want to share it with you, particularly my Credly, is because with my Credly, you can go and I have badges that you can already use. So that's one of the great things about it, is that you don't even have to make these badges. What you do is you can just take mine, or you can take many other teachers' badges that they've already created, and you can use them for your own purpose. Now, for this particular one, I took this one from Credly. So if they accomplish this mission, this is the badge they get to have. Now, I'm all about saving time. I know teachers don't have a lot of time, so for me it's very important that we do this. So I'll tell you a little about badges and why they are the newest things. They were actually developed by coders. Coders are people that go and they're the ones who program a lot. So they're making all these programs, they're developing websites, they do things with Visual C++, you might have heard of Flash, things like that, things that sound very difficult. And what happened was, if you do know about programs, or you were a computer nerd like me, and you tried to learn different languages so you could actually develop your own websites, then you know that you learn, you can go to school and you get a degree for computers, or computer information systems, but a lot of it is self-taught. You have to teach yourself the different languages, and it's something that you have to just go through, and you end up developing websites, putting it into application stuff. So what happened was that anytime they developed something like a website or something with the program they just learned, the web developers went and they decided, we need to mark this somehow. We need to be able to say, language, we know this, computer language, we know this. So they began to give each other digital badges. They made digital badges. So it started off as a professional thing. So it is quite professional, and it's something to look at for our students. You're very familiar with the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and Eagle Scouts. They're international, and many of you may have participated in something very similar. And that's where this concept kind of comes from. We've always had badges. It's not something that's new. It is something that we've always done in our different cultures. And now we just have it to where you can do it online as well. They're digital, but they look a lot like the Boy Scouts and Girl Scout patches. And they're not awards. They can sometimes awards. That's a very good question. Panos asked, students must have an account to Credly or not. No, actually, I'm going to show you different options for that, so that way you don't even have to have students on there. A place where they can collect it. I'd like to have students have that, because you do need a place where and I'll show you how I used it with my students, but they do need an area or a place where they can collect all their badges. And if they continue, because this is definitely something that other places are having, they can even collect them from other different types of places that they go to. We'll give them a badge as well. So badges, what badges? Why digital badges? Well, they mark an achievement. They say, hey, I accomplished this. And the other is, when you go, and if you've ever gone to visit a blog, inside of the blog, you'll see many different icons. Those are, in fact, badges. And what I tell you is, hey, is there one for this eTwinning? Do you have one that you can add in your blog sidebar? So that's a badge. If you went to somebody, if Maria went to Sandra's a blog or panel's blog and saw the same badge on the blog, she would say, hey, that person was in eTwinning with me. So it's a side of experience when you're working with technology. So badges really are a great way for digital citizenship, a great way to have community, to say, hey, we were all part of the same project. We all had similar experiences. We all accomplished this different task together. You know, it marks skill, it marks rank, and so it's definitely something that's very motivational. And we've had badges, or what are like badges, in different places in our society. So one of the places that you may know is, for example, it comes from a deep history. Soldiers or military people, they have these little icons right here, and it the rank. It'll tell you, in sometimes you have great things like a purple heart and an icon saying, "Wow, this person achieved that particular accomplished that particular greatness." You know, because to get that, so it's throughout. Take any martial arts, often it'll be badges are similar to the belt. Someone achieved a brown belt, things like that. Mike was a championship bowler, and so I saw a lot of patches. It would what tournaments he'd been in. It'd say if he bowled a 300. It would say, so it gave a lot about his bowling and what kind of a bowler he was. And then a lot of us will now have conference badges, and a lot of us like to collect what we call flair. So when we go to a conference, a lot of times teachers will do anything to collect this different type of flair. So we have the different types of badges, and definitely it has a deep history in the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. They mark a victory sometimes. They show if we have, as a team, won something. They show a membership. So you know, with the Boy Scouts, you know what particular group of Boy Scouts that they belong to. They mark an achievement. If they've created fire, if they helped a person, anything, they get the different patches for that. Their experience, how much they've put into a task. It also shows their rank. It can show if they're the leader, if they're first in command. I mean, it shows different level, and it shows different skill. Badges as an alternative, and with the badges, it could be how they put in more effort in their assignment. So a lot of this was started by Mozilla. You can go here and it will give you an infographic, and it tells you about the rich history of digital badges. And it goes all the way from online learning, on-the-job training. If you volunteer programs, you collect badges for all of that. It gives you places where you can go collect badges and where you can store them. And then it gives you some. So here's the one that I was talking about, some of the first ones for web makers. Here, this was a summit that people attended, and they made that for that. A lot of companies will do it. Here's one for digital kids. Here's one for a camper. So there's a lot of different types of styles that you can see there that are really cool and pretty. Also, even case studies that they'll give you when you go to that Mozilla site. And again, all of these are in the Pearl Tree link. So you don't have to join Pearl Tree, but I recommend it. I absolutely love it. And you can always take any of my, you can find actually in my Pearl Tree, if you just shorten that, and if you go to pearltree.com, Shelly Terrell, you can find thousands and thousands of resources that I bookmark every day. So you can go there. I'm going to show you how I used this, but it shows, you know, how different types, the case studies are a great way to see how other teachers have used this as well. You do the case studies. I'm going to show you how I did this in particular. So I wrote, for the Ministry of Education in Spain, I wrote a Moodle course, and we have over 200, and the teachers do get credit this. And so we decided the first time we did this, the students loved it, but what happened was there's too many tasks. We'll cut assignments. What we decided to do was we decided that we were going to try submissions and badges. Okay. Because what we was some of the students, if they want to go above and beyond, they have something that marks that, you know. At the same time, we can't really give extra credit. We can't give more points to it. It's just something that they do, and they learn more. I mean, that's the intrinsic or motivation that they should have, because every time they accomplish a mission, they get a new skill. It's like playing a game. Every time you go through it, you gain a new, different skill, a new talent, sometimes reward them with weapons or things like that. So this is all part, sort of gamification. So we guided, this is how we presented it. And the good thing is, and a lot of you have mentioned things like Class Dojo, and you've mentioned Edmodo. I'm going to show you some of those as well. For this platform, when we first did this, we did not have where Moodle had badges. So we actually had to create ours, and we had to go through the Mozilla one. Well, now Moodle has that option, so we're going to try and use the Moodle badges this time around. Platforms are putting it to where this is pretty easy. And so we had them use backpackopenbadges.org, and that's one of the first places to display this, because a lot of teachers, this is the new digital portfolio. So if you've heard of ePortfolios, badges are a part of that portfolio, because as soon as you look at a badge, badges are easy to scan. You can scan through a whole bunch of patches and get a sense of a person. You can understand, oh, this person loves math because they have a lot of math badges. This person really is great at grammar because they've achieved so many grammar badges. Or this person, their strength is in speaking skills or listening skills. So for students, it also marks things they are really good at as well. And because they're little icons, and there's a symbol. And when we look at that symbol, we can automatically get a sense of a person. Exactly. So they're pretty cool. So this is what it looked like. These were the teachers. So it said the name. It's not just something they get, but you have the actual platforms like Credly or Open Badges, and it's up to you. You can use whatever platform you want, whatever you think is more appealing to your students. It also depends on tools you already use, because they probably already have badges. Now all of the Web 2.0 tools are starting at badges. And so they put the URL of where they gained it, they put the institution in tab, and they put a description. This is where you have, this is what I had to do to get this badge, okay? So it's already giving you a sense of more. My students, we put them on Twitter. Now, these teachers had never used Web 2.0 tools. They've never been on Twitter. They've never been on Pinterest. And if you train teachers who have never done anything, sometimes not even PowerPoint. When I was in Greece, I took my self-training in Greece. And I remember my trainer, who's absolutely wonderful, Marissa Constantinides, absolutely love. You know, you're very good at Web 2.0 tools and technology and everything. We'd like to train the teachers. Well, when I started to do a presentation to train my fellow CELTA students, peers, a lot of them had never even used PowerPoint. So I had to actually train them on how not to use transparencies and how to start using PowerPoint. So if you have teachers who are at that level, they need to put a lot of work into technology. And you'll see sometimes resistance, or you'll see that it's very difficult to motivate. And digital badges, they're so funny. I was doing physical training, and I've done this all over the world. And teachers will do anything for these badges. Students will do anything for these badges, and they don't even get a grade for them. They just love having these badges. So this is what my students who did not use any of these did. And so she put, I'm so happy I have my badge. So not only, we didn't ask them to tweet it. So not only did she accomplish above what she's supposed to, she put it on a blog. She actually created a blog so she could put it on the blog. And she also tweeted it. She used that for a badge. This student did as well. So you have all of these. And yes, You can have a badge for anything. Yeah, it changes the dynamic. And once your students start displaying their badges, guess what? The other students are going to see their badges and say, I want that. How am I going to get that? And then it's like, well, you have to accomplish this mission. If you don't accomplish the mission, then you don't get the badge. Badges. Well, let's say you do want to make badges. And of course, I'm going to show you places where you can just get badges so you don't have to worry. But the easiest and fastest way for me is if you go to openbadges.me. And the thing about open badges, so Credly, if you actually join Credly, you can design beautiful badges. They have gorgeous icons and all of that. The thing is, you have to register for Credly. So let's say you don't want to do that, okay? So this is where I ended up, and if you want to make a bulk, okay, so if you're making like, you want them to all have the same look. Like, say you want them all to have this design. You want them all to have a shield design. I also want them to have the same kind of a missing hashtag or something. It's making sort of like a template, and you're going to do a whole bunch of them. Open badges is going to be the thing to do because it's going to save you tons of time. So I run an online conference. It's called the reformsymposium.com. At the reformsymposium.com, I needed to make badges for the sessions that people attended. So what I wanted them to do was I wanted to make sure that all these were uniform, and so this is what I used for it. I'll show you what that actually looks like. And then what's cool about it is they can go back to the sessions and they can go ahead and collect the badges even later if they didn't get to see the session but they saw the recording. Open badges.me. They don't have a lot of really pretty icons. It's very easy to use. You just click on this different top and then it'll let you add to it. Do this in literally minutes. You take a little bit longer at first because I just loving it. I love making badges, and so I get a little addicted to it. And then I use openclipart.org. Now, I'll share with you openclipart.org because openclipart.org is, you don't have to give any type of credit. It's openclipart is actually in the public domain. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you openclipart.org. And you can use this for your flyers. You can use this for your websites, everything like that. It's clipart that you can use for anything. And so you don't have, there's no legal ramifications or anything like that. So these are my favorite ones. And then PD clipart. So if you're going to make them yourself, I love to make them, so I tend to make it. Because I can't find a digital badge for something that I really want. So that's the reason why I'll do that as well. You can go to these places and then you'll be able to go ahead and you'll be able to give you that link. I don't know why that link didn't work. And so when you do that, you'll be able to use this as well. You may have to scale it a little with the Mozilla. You can use this with the openbadges.me. When a badge, the trick to it, you want this badge. So it's important that you make it you're going to design kid badges maybe quite differently than you would design a teenager badge, or even for badge for adults. So you're going to see an example of my badges that we had for the session. So each session, this is what the badges that I created look like. Now, I gave you the one that says the future of education. You can even access some more. So I made these badges for each of the sessions, and in each one, they could display on their Credly and everything like that. They could display on, or even if they wanted to, they could put it in a digital portfolio. They could put it anywhere. So you know how all of these are kind of the same thing. They all have the green. They all have RSCon 5. They all have education. And then what changes is just the different type of sessions that they went to. And so this is what I did. You can see that I used a lot of the PD clipart and open clipart. And these are pretty cool. I'm very proud of my badge making skills here. This is one of my favorite ones that a lot of the participants did. So I wanted to encourage, they posted them. Okay, so this is, I'm showing you how motivated they were. that they actually posted these. So once they gained their badges, they posted them all over Facebook. It was a really fun time that we had in Facebook because we went and we were all putting badges. And look at the conversation that started. So not only did having the badges was the motivating, but it sparked conversation and community, because in other people who look, Rosemary says, how can I get it? I want one. I love RS Con. Peggy says, what a perfect badge. She got hers as well. And she's saying, but it was worth it. It was worth having it. So automatically you see how you're creating a class community. And now that we have cyberbullying and we have so many kids picking on each other, it's really important that we have these conversations. So not only are they learning English, not only are they doing extra homework for you, but also congratulating each other, and they're also having a community, and they're practicing English. So you go to my particular Credly, and you can just, if you sign up for Credly, if you right-click any of the badges, they can download them, and they just end up being images. And where you can host those images where you want. It's up to you where you want to host them. You can put them in a special folder that students can go to. You can have them available in a special folder on the computer that you downloaded offline. It's up to you where you want the particular digital badge. I had to share with you the Credly link again for me, and you can go see the ones that I have. And I'm going to show you how on particularly Credly you're able to go and you'd be able to copy other people's badges. So go to Credly. So I've used Credly pretty regularly. It's something that I love to do. And the great thing is Credly works with all different platforms now. So whether you use Edmodo, whether you use, it's starting to work with more platforms. It works with Moodle. It works with, it also works with open badges. So, and why is that important? The reason that's important is because each year, they change. I mean, Edmodo seems to be sticking around, but in my years of teaching, they always change the platform. So if I only have all my badges made on, for example, Moodle, then there's no way that for RS Con, I'm not using Moodle for that. So then are my students. So Credly, I started using Credly for that. That's why I use Credly. You can actually hover over. So let's say you want to give your students this one that says research, or there's one that they made for courage. Here's what they did for high five for attitude. You could use any of mine. You don't even have to design it. So all you do is you hover over it with the mouse, and it'll say details, give, or claim now. So all you have to do is click give, and then your students can go and you can use that my badge. You can get badge. And the other thing we did, so when I was actually in Atlanta, I was doing a workshop for ISTE. ISTE is like it's 15,000 people gathered at a conference for technology. And we decided to teach teachers how to do this, how to create badges, all of that, how to do gamification. We used Edmodo, so I'll show you my Edmodo examples as well. And so what we did was we decided, we our students to make badges too, because when you see those badges, didn't you want to make some? Guess what? Your students are going to want to make badges too. And so we asked them to create badges, and they were allowed to give a limited number of those badges to their fellow peers. I could give a badge, and this is where you can talk about roles. You can talk about, so in other words, you can get together and you can say, hey, when you're making a badge, what kind of things do you want to give someone a badge for? You can come up with those. They can say, oh, well, if they are good at editing, maybe if they create a really cool project or something. And I did. This is the ones that I got from some of the students. See, he's a feather one. Some of them did a gamification. One created here excellent award. And you can see here in the Edmodo, I copied the status. he says, get a badge on Credly, only 5 to get. So he's telling us here the badges that you can get and how many he's going to offer up. And it's more of a contest. It's a challenge. So what he's doing there is he's getting everybody to accomplish his task, and the first to accomplish his task get the badge. And then after that, well, then you don't have the opportunity to get that badge anymore. So you can see where it can be very motivating as well. So there's a different types of platforms, especially made for schools, that are really good for this as well. So you don't have to do the Credly or anything like that. You could do something, for example, as MakeWaves. Now, MakeWaves, you go through like a 2 or 3 day process before it allows you. But one of the great things about it is it has an area where you can blog and talk about your activity. It has it where teachers can give activity. And the badges they have there are amazing. So you can use all of their badges, and they pretty much have a badge for everything, and they have the most awesomest badges. So it's definitely a great platform that you can use. So that's one of the options. But there's other platforms that you've already mentioned that you probably already have badges, and they include educlipper.net. So if you go to educlipper, it's like the Pinterest for teachers. It's a free one. It's made by Adam Bello. You can give assignments, you can grade it, you can give badges, you can give actual grades, you can give an assignment, feedback, response, you even give bookmarks, everything. educlipper is absolutely awesome. It has a free iOS app. And this is what the badges look like there. Many of you said Edmodo. Now, here's a trick with Edmodo. You might wonder why I didn't give Edmodo badges. Sometimes as a teacher and you're training teachers, you can't give badges to other teachers. But if you do it with students, actual students, you can. No idea what, oh well. So this is what our badge system look like. Here's me. And sometimes I would just give badges just for something I observed that they did. So I also used it for citizenship as well. They were sharing resources with each other, and they started posting in different types of resources. So what happened was that I told them, oh, I gave you a badge for doing this. In other words, I noticed something that you did well. The reason why I started doing that is because many of our students, we say, oh, that's a bad kid, or that kid acts up or misbehaves. And one of the reasons why that student misbehaves is because nobody has ever told that student or give that student an award for something they're good at. So some of our students may be very good at art. They may be very good at helping others. They may be very good at technology, and we don't grade for that, but those are important. That's in many aspects, in many respects, that's more important in life than the skills that you do learn. And so when we think about that, I give badges to highlight and also praise the skills that they're really good at, and to help them continue to do that. So if I had really shy students, and when the students presented in front of class or talk, can someone take off their microphone, please? Sorry. Then they were able to come out of their shell and wanted to accomplish more because they saw that I appreciated them giving that effort. And that's what badges do. They're not like stickers, because what they do is the way of showing achievement. They're more of a portfolio. They're like warrior scars or something in a way too. It shows, hey, I went through an experience. I gave the time. I gave the effort, and another peer noticed it and said, hey, I really liked that you did this. So how do you manage this? There's manage this differently. A lot of them use what's called Google Docs, and you can go to Terrell, and he shares a lot of this as well. All his spreadsheets and everything in Google Docs. So teachers have already set up the platforms for you, and all you have to do is you can go up there and you can use their stuff. For me, that's really important that to save teachers' time, because the way I'm going to get you to do anything or to adopt that is if you go and you and then you actually have time to do this. And you can start off with just one lesson, a few lessons. Try one lesson a week. Try one lesson a month to do all of this with. And if you do it, then you'll be able to find that it's much more manageable, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give you a link to my gamification stuff, and then you can see all of this there as well. Not going. So let's see. Where is this game thing here? This bookmarks and give them to you in a bit. And you can find all of these sheets for you. So you can use Google Docs if you want to as well. Or, like I said, if you have EduClipper, Edmodo, ClassDojo, they have all of this. Make Waves, they're all platforms that have it within them. Haiku Learning has it as well. So if you use that as an LMS. Where do you find the missions? How are you going to post the missions so they can read it? I'm going to go ahead and wrap up soon. But here are a few web tools where you can put missions. You can see it because remember we had all of those things. We had the situation, we had the resources. The good thing is you can put this all together, and they can even collect their badge from there as well. And you have claim numbers. So if they have the claim number, that's the way they get the badge. And they're going to do that if they have it. You can use Bunty. Bunty is a multimedia poster. You can add drawings, stickers, messages, quotes, audio, video, PDF backgrounds. It's really wonderful. I love it better than Gogster because Gogster always crashes and doesn't. It has a free app as well. You can even draw with it. You can put on a blend space. Please lets you curate the sources. It also puts it to where they got to accomplish the mission in a particular order. S'more, they could do it with a s'more. Yes, all of these, by the way, are free. I only share free ideas because teachers have very little budget, so all of these are free. You can do this for free. Isn't that awesome? S'more.com is like an interactive flyer, online flyer. You can use these for other projects as well. EduClipper.net, and it's also a free app. You can add your own video and everything like that. So EduClipper, you could do all of this from. So I like EduClipper because you don't even have to go anywhere else. You have everything that I told you on EduClipper. Also on Edmodo, because Edmodo works with EduClipper as well. You can bitefly.com as well. So these are just ways to make your mission, to present your mission to your students online. If you have a wiki, a website, all of that. Or you can do it on a TouchCast. Now, once your students are very adept at looking at your missions and accomplishing them, you even have them create their own missions for other students. A lot of times the reason why our students aren't motivated to do it is because they need to see that connection. They need to see that it's meaningful. If it comes from just the textbook, it's not meaningful. It doesn't really teach them anything. Because what happens a lot in schools is that students end up doing all of these different types of tasks in a textbook, and then you go to a fast food place, you go to a restaurant, and they can't count change. All passed all their math tests, they cannot count change. And that really blows my mind. It blows my mind that they learn fractions and they can't balance a checkbook, that they don't know interest rates. They get into debt, and a lot of the reason is because when they're learning this, they're learning it from a book instead of learning it to do something real. And it's so easy to get even 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds to learn to count by giving them money, like coins and stuff that they have to count. And that's a way to really get our students to really, but not only that, when we have missions, when we put it out there, we also teach them citizenship. Sometimes when you go to when you turn your homework and you say, here, I'm giving you a mission, then you're automatically getting them to be action-oriented and to think of others. A lot of teachers say, well, I don't know how to do digital literacy. I don't know how to do digital citizenship. You don't have to make it separate. It can all be in one. And you do that by making it something that they, at the end of it, they finish your homework. You don't call it homework because you call it a mission and they've accomplished something real. They automatically start feeling like heroes. They learned and they get this sense of achievement. And when they have that achievement, they have pride in their work and in themselves. This is what it looks like. So I run something called the 30 Goals Challenge for educators. And it's also a book that's coming out, my book. But one of the teachers who took this, he teaches like this, and this is how I teach. And this is what one of his 12, 13-year-old students wrote him because of him doing a science base like this, where he gives them meaningful tasks with the learning. And so his 6th grader, the 12-year-old says, Dear Mr. Storm, he wrote an entire letter, and just a snippet of it, but it says, you have changed my perspective of not only school, but life. But most of all, you taught me how to really live your life and live up to your legacy. And words can't even describe how thankful I am for that. So just imagine your students, your teenagers, your 11-year-olds writing you this letter. Thank you, teacher, for giving me homework, for giving assignments, for making the learning. You're very valuable because it taught me how to be a better person and how to achieve things in life. And so I think that's why it's really important to make it mission-oriented and also appeal to kids. That's it. Let me go ahead and give you the, once again, the different resources here. So you can go back and you can use any, you've learned a lot of stuff. So what I want you to do is I want you to go and I want you to look at what's going to appeal to your particular learners. Whether you teach teachers, look at what platforms maybe you already use. If you already use Modo, then that's where you're going to want to go. So there's different things that you can go and you can do this with. Try once a month and try changing one of your tasks into a mission once a month. See how students respond. It's a lot. One of the best things that I had was, you might be familiar with Elizabeth Ann, and she teaches English physics to students who are engineers and in Grenoble, France. English for specific purposes, science. And she told me she did this with them. And can you imagine a bunch of adults that are scientists, and they really loved it as well. So I know you might think your students might think it's silly and stuff, but you'd be surprised the great kind of learning and things that they do this year. So thank you so much for coming. You can find my book, Learning to Go. It has different types of rubrics and everything like that. It's less than 2 cups of Starbucks coffees. You can connect with me at any of those places. I'm on Facebook. You can join any of the programs. I have a lot of different types of free resources that you can get on my blog all the time. You can read posts of my blog that shows you different examples of missions and tasks the teachers have written in. So feel free to go and explore. Thank you so much.
Very much, Shelly. It was really inspiring, and now I gave a promise that we have to make a batch for our creative classroom group. So yeah, I'm already, because we are going to move in a new platform from January. So I think that we can do some things with the different tasks and with the different activities that we are doing there. So I hope that all the people here will help me on that. I know if somebody wants to ask something else, but you gave really great ideas and many, many resources and tools that we will try for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, it was great being able to come here and be here with all of you. What I'm going to do is you can even get your badge. So if you do happen to get on Credly, then I'm going to give you here, you can get a Learner Challenger badge, and I will put that in the chat box where you can even claim the code. So there you go. You can go there and go to Kate there if you get on Credly, and you can claim your first badge. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. I'm going to give a badge, but if you want to add this, and we can give you, let me see, I put it, the link, sorry. Link. So certificate of attendance from me for the people who were there. So thank you very much.
Everyone, have a great day. Bye.